really just sums up why Lytra is going to ruin photography.
What? Lytra is going to ruin photography? Okay. Well, we're live
megapixel.
And Lytra, random thoughts by Phil. Welcome to the show, everybody. This is the Daytripper Photo Show. We're at episode 170. Kind of a nice round number in a way. Yeah, very cool. Tonight's show is the photo review show. We're talking about the photo challenge that we've issued called Why. Gotta do the thanks. It's the Why show. Now it's interesting. When we first came up with the challenge, Gabriel wasn't on the show. He wasn't feeling well. Much like tonight.
No, I'm fine now. I was off last night and I was feeling iffy earlier today, but then I remembered my self-medication.
Whiskey.
Whiskey. Now I'm good.
Should be a fun show. All right, so the whole thought of why, we talked about it briefly when Phil and I issued the challenge, but it was Gabe's idea to shoot or to give the challenge why. You kind of talked quickly about it on last week's show. Why don't you just quickly go over one more time what you were thinking?
Yeah, well, so I can't remember. There was something that happened that made me think about it, but the main thing was why photography? Why for you do you take photos? Is it to record your family history? Is it for artistic expression? Is it for because it's the only thing that'll get you outside and get you walking around, which is good for your health? Is it because you're trying to express yourself through your photography? Why photography? Why do you pick up a camera? Why do you like the technical side? Why photography?
Mm-hmm. And there were a lot of different interpretations for the theme, which I thought was very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them were what you're talking about, Gabriel. You know, why did I like photography? Some
people failed.
We
deleted those pictures.
Yes. You'll never see them.
You will be publicly humiliated.
Stones are being thrown. Not how we roll, but funny nonetheless.
Yeah. And it's good though, because we had some literal interpretations of why, and then some. Oh no, that was literal. I have figuratively forgotten what literal means.
Okay, moving on. You're having the whiskey too, as Andrew says. Yippee for whiskey! And hello to you, Nick.
Self-medication.
Yeah, right. Nick's watching. I'm gonna have Nick on the show. I'm saying it right now.
Okay.
We're gonna get Nick on the show as our guest. Nick is a young man, and he's gonna talk about how do we get youngsters excited about photography. It was his idea. He emailed me last week. I think it's a great idea. I'm just saying.
I hear his collection is now free.
What?
The Nick collection.
Oh, right. Yes, the Nick collection.
It is free, and you should totally download it because it's
different
actually
Nick
awesome.
all together. Completely different Nick. He's now a little bit surprised because I haven't talked to him about this. He's just finding out about this as I'm blabbing on about the mouth. But yeah, so that would be cool. Andrew says, and some of us drew a blank and again didn't submit anything. Well, that's okay too. But
absolutely.
One thing I do want to say. What? You gonna go ahead?
Yep, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
My thing was because as you shoot photography longer, sometimes you can forget the why.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you start doing it for a living, and you start realizing that the only time you pick up your camera is when there's a paycheck attached to it. And every now and then, it's good to remind yourself why and get back to that why for a little bit, especially if you find your enthusiasm waning a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people think, I got this new lens, I'll be enthusiastic, or I've got this new camera, I've got this new light, or I've got this new entire photography studio, that will renew my enthusiasm. But the only thing that can really renew your enthusiasm for a prolonged period of time is remembering your why.
Good point. Very cool. I like that too. That should have been our quote.
Well, I think everyone goes through a phase when they get shooting that they find it less exciting than it should be. And I think going back to your roots will help bring that back, rejuvenate your love of shooting.
Yeah.
Well, I hope the photo challenge maybe brought some of that back to some of the folks that participated. What I was going to say before, though, was just remember, like, the photo challenge Phil made a really good point before we went live on the air, and he's concerned that if people don't win a challenge, then you feel like you're not really progressing, or you're not keeping up with everybody, or you're not with the cool kids or something, right? Is that kind of what you're thinking, Phil?
I was thinking that, because I know you're posting what you feel is your best, and it absolutely, it is, and there's some great pictures that we get, and just because you don't get one of the first, second, or third spots, it doesn't mean that your picture's less good than everyone else's,
or less important, or less relevant, or less awesome. Exactly. It just means we are connected differently to a different image, and we have to pick a first, second, and third place. So my answer to this.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say the problem behind that is that there's three of us, and there's generally three different opinions, and we generally go back and forth for quite some time before one of us actually gives in, and then there's two opinions, and then eventually there's only one opinion. So
it's a lot of screaming and gnashing of teeth.
It is a lot of stuff to go through to actually pick three pictures. Thankfully,
it's true.
Three.
Maybe even four with an honorable mention. But yeah. My point is, if you're consistent and you post regularly, you have a better chance of winning. They don't have to be #1 photos, but if you consistently submit something, you can get something.
Well, I'm not even on that too, but if you're consistently, putting something out there, you're consistently challenging yourself, because you're shooting something you might not normally have thought to shoot, or you're putting a purpose or a drive or a word behind what you're trying to shoot, it's going to force you to be a little bit more creative, and that could help with the process. Like, I've been thinking throughout all of these challenges, what would I shoot for this? And I've drawn a lot of blanks for some of these, and thinking about what I was going to do and seeing what other people are doing, it's great, because there's stuff people post that I would not have thought about.
So and that really gives us ideas, right? I mean, it's all reciprocal. It's all reciprocal. It's a good word. I think we're going to stick with reciprocal.
Word of the day.
Thank you. Let's go to the Q&A and say hello to everybody who's been saying hi to us. Mark Moore, hello. Thank you for watching. Howdy to you, Robert. Nick, of course, this is awesome, he says. I think he's a little excited he's going to be a guest on the show. Don't know the date yet, Nick. We'll have to have a chat about that. Also,
as much of a surprise as the announcement that you're going to be on the show.
Yes, we'll spring it on you. 5 minutes before show, we're going to invite you into the hangout.
In fact, you're on tonight.
Oh, by the way, come on in. Sheila, hello to you. Andrew, he says he's going to go with Gabriel's answer because he's old and he forgets why. And yeah, that's it. That's cool. And you're not that old, Andrew. Don't beat yourself up. And hello again to you, Ron. Awesome. We've got a lot of good viewers. Got a lot of people watching tonight. This should be fun. I encourage you all to contribute and give us your opinions when we look at the photos. If we say something that you don't agree with, that's fine. Go ahead. Let us know what you think. It's going to be a fun night. But before we get into it, I just want to say a quick thank you to everyone in the community for being a part of the energy and the excitement that we have felt for our announcement of the Loft Studio. Gabe and I and Navi and Joe Leduc and Robert have all been going crazy with all the odds and ends and all the little nitty-gritties that we have to do and all the running around. And I have to admit, because I don't have the vehicle, Gabe and Navi and all the other people and Robert have been doing most of the running around. So thank you guys. But to everybody who clicked like...
Robert's not the only taxi.
No. For everyone who clicked like and shared our post about the Loft Studio and the grand opening and everything, thank you so much. We really appreciate the community support. You guys are phenomenal. And I really, really hope you all come out on May 1st and say hello to all the 5 partners and check out the new studio and see what we can do there. It's going to be a lot of fun. Phil.
Yep.
You're coming, right?
I absolutely am coming. Awesome. I'm super excited to check it out, and I got a couple things that I want to do in the studio space. So we'll see how these go. It's kind of getting me thinking about things, and so it's kind of nice, and I'm excited to see in the space.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. Thank you. I'm not a studio photographer by trade. It's not something that I do on a regular basis. I'll be using this space to do photo classes and to do day trips and all that, photo reviews and all those things. But now I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, yeah, we've got to do some really cool stuff in there. I'm really excited about potential of what I could do in studio. So, in fact, Saturday for Navi Noom's masterclass on portraiture, one of the guys that I shoot regularly, Justin Sane, yes, that's his wrestling name, he's going to be our model for this event. And Justin is crazy. Like, the moves he does I love watching him wrestle. He's one of the most exciting wrestlers I've ever seen. He's really super fit, and he's going to be a great model for this, and going to be great. So that's actually something that I could do with him at the studio. Completely different styles of photography for that. Sheila, clap, clap, clap. Yes, applause is necessary. And Christine, hello to you. And Robert, it's not taxi, Gabriel. It's limo. Don't piss him off.
Unless it's 40 feet long, it's a taxi.
What are you watching, like the Top Gear limo special?
Okay. All right.
It's only got 4 doors. It's a taxi.
Taxis are the things. I'm not even going to get into it. I respect the limo, Robert. I respect the limo.
It's the driving that dictates what it is.
Yes.
Now I'm really confused.
I give no taxi drivers right of way because they've never given me right of way.
Oh, I see. I see. Well, Robert is a much more gracious driver. I'm just going to go there. Okay, so let's move along. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of tonight's show, I just want to remind everybody, check out the Daytripper Photo community on Google+. It's where all the magic happens. Anytime there's a photo challenge, we put it there. Anytime there's a day trip or something, we give advance notice there. Usually they have first crack on the cool sessions, the impromptu, last-minute kind of things that fall in our lap to do. And it's also just great to get ideas off people. Like, for example, people want to know about batteries. They put, what battery should I get? Boom, get answers. What gaff tape should I get? Andrew asked about gaff tape, I believe. Lots of different answers from there. Options from all over the place. Great sales online, whether you come into the store at Henry's. I mean, lots of options. And you're going to get these things anytime you post a question in the Daytripper Photo community. So check it out. A lot of fun, completely free. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, click like, subscribe to our YouTube channel, share it with people, let people know we're doing this. I mean, there's been some interesting tidbits of information from time to time on the show. Lots of them, especially when Gabriel's on. Just that was
Deer in
awesome.
headlights.
Okay, deer in headlights. Yes, and whiskey.
That's my tidbit.
Perfect. Don't forget, if you're watching this live right now, use the Q&A. It's along the left side of the window that you're watching as you speak. If you put your mouse over it and hover, you'll see along the left side it'll say Q&A. Click on that button, type something into the little chat bar on the right side, and we'll see it right away. We'll roll it right into the show. Last thing before we get into the show, I really, really want to thank our sponsors for the show. LensPen, who's donated some great prizes for tonight's photo challenge quarterly final. And that's the deal. This is the quarterly final. This is where we're going to announce the big winner, who's going to get the $350 gift certificate for day trip, for a single day trip, who's going to win the LensPen product, and cool stuff we're giving away too. So for LensPen, this is going to be a second place prize because first place gets the big $350 and one of these guys, which are awesome. Wow, bless you.
Interesting.
But that was somebody's phone, wasn't it?
My phone, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I'll put that on mute.
Second place gets the LensPen DSLR cleaning kit. So you get the LensPen cloth. You get 3 LensPens, including the little guy, which is awesome, by the way. People always ask me, what the heck do you use that tiny little LensPen for? For this. For your viewfinder. It gets so mucked up in there sometimes. You're shooting on a sweaty day. Use the little micro pen. Get right inside your viewfinder. Give that a clean. Oh, you can see mine's already dirty. That's pretty gross. I should probably clean that.
Tap on it.
I own a lens pen. I should probably take care of that. Anyway, that's what you can use it for. Also, for third place, you're going to win the LensPen Micro Clear Cloth and another lens pen. So lots of prizes for first, second, and third place in the quarterly challenge tonight. Should be a lot of fun. Let's get to it. What do you guys think? Talk about some photos and keep the show going. You ready?
Yeah.
Awesome. Who wants to do a screen share tonight?
I don't know if I would suggest me. My internet's doing that.
Gabriel?
Okay, sure, I can do it. Absolutely.
Done. There you go. And Emil is watching tonight. Hello to you, sir.
He actually sent in a late submission as well.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Another photo to talk about. Okay, so we better get to him. Get to him. Lots of pictures. When I first made the post about this, there were only 6 photos, and then all of a sudden, we have left, right, and center photos coming through.
Which is great. You know, having more and more show up means there's more to look at, more for us to talk about.
For sure. I don't see Emil's photo.
I don't know. I just got an email about it, so I don't know if I get emails faster than it shows up or if he posted it somewhere else. But we'll look for it.
All right, you keep looking, and we'll keep on talking.
Is my screen showing up?
It is.
Woohoo! Are
Okay.
you seeing just the window?
No, right now I'm seeing 2 of Sheila's photos.
Okay.
There you go. Perfect. All right, now Sheila submitted 2 images, and since we now have several, why don't we talk about one of them? And would you like to talk about this one or the other one?
So there's this one, and there's this one.
I like the second one.
Me as well.
And I
This
think,
one?
Yes. I like them both, but I think for the purposes of the photo challenge, I think this is the one we should look at. What do you guys think? You good with that?
I agree, and I think we were talking about it a little bit before that we both kind of had the same idea.
Yeah, so why don't you lead off, Phil?
Well, this photo I think more encapsulates the why part of it as opposed to the maybe why you're shooting part of it. Hopefully more of the why part of it. But it has so much of a story happening in it, and you get the sense of maybe of regret or of like sadness. You get like kind of the why did I do something, or that kind of feeling from it. And as far as an actual artistic standpoint, it's very nicely laid out. You have the subjects in the foreground that are slightly soft. You have subject in the background is sharp, nicely lit. You have some shadows. The background is potentially a curtain, but it's good because it doesn't distract away from the picture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree, and it really tells the story in a different way. The first photo of just her with the handcuffs through the chair, you could see there's desperation or there's fear, but you don't really understand why. And like you said, Phil, this tells us why. You can see there's alcohol involved, there's depression, there's loneliness. There's so many things you can take from this. There's so many different stories being told. Yeah, so I don't know. What do you think, Gabriel?
Yeah, I mean, this to me just says, if I were to put this under why photography, it's like, oh, it's because I like making bad life choices. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, yeah, I think it just falls under this was probably posted before, my refinements as to the theme. So it's probably, why drink and drive, why, all the repercussions from drinking. It's definitely a picture that really gets you thinking about the ramifications of what's in the picture.
Yes.
I like that they look like real handcuffs. And yeah, it's just very well done. Good sense of emotion. The alcohol, the wine bottle, smart not having the label showing, and then also having it sort of tipped over and stuff adds a very dramatic feel to it.
Good points.
I think the one thing I would do if I was super picky is it looks like the cap of the wine bottle is down by the wine glass, and it kind of ruins the flow of the glass a little bit. I probably would have removed that.
That's a good point. But I do like how the brightest part of the photo is her face.
Yes.
I mean, there's obviously reflections off the glass, but they're not as bright as the light on her face, and that really draws you in. So the glass in there is there for story and for environment, but the face is still drawing your attention for the mood. And
there's the curtain behind her face is lit up in a streak, which draws your eyes to where it's supposed to be. And her hand is bright and everything as well, brighter than the curtain.
Right. Great job. Really great. I love the composition. I love the tone. I love the editing, the tone that you added to it. It really lends to the mood.
Yeah, and it's such a big, as the child of, a father was an alcoholic and a drug addict. Everybody on his side of the family died from alcoholism. It's such a huge. Everybody talks about drug use and stuff like that, but nobody talks about alcohol abuse, right? And it's such a huge topic that doesn't get brought up a lot. That seeing an image like that, it's like, it's like a hit to the chest, and it's really well done, and something that should be brought up more.
Cool, good observation. That's about perspective, right? That's how it's so cool how each person can read something different into a photo based on your history and your life experience. I love that. I love that about photography. It's very cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's move along. Let's check out the next photo.
Let's do it. And this is the part where I remember that I'm the one that's screen sharing.
Okay. Well, so which one are we going to concentrate on for the next one?
Sorry, what was that, Phil?
Because there's also 2 for the next one, right?
Oh, right. Mark submitted 2 as well. So he does Why Not, and he did Why for Bokeh.
And they're both good.
They are both good, but we should really talk about...
Will be loose when we start asking why not, or...
Why get into photography?
I vote for this one.
All right, let's go there.
Okay.
Cool. So, what do you think of this? Why don't you start there then, Gabriel?
It's okay. So let's go with the shot first, and then the message, if you don't mind.
Okay.
So the shot itself. I like the shot. I like that it's a noose going around the world. I think that the props serve the weekly photo challenge that you have, or a couple weeks to get it done or something like that. But I would have liked to have seen some, like fancier scissors or something like that. But I get that, this is sort of a rough draft that if you were to do this, if World Hunger were to hire you to do this shot, then you would go out and spend $2,000 on props or something like that and get, some really cool looking scissors. But, I think it works wonderfully for what it is. Once I'm told what the concept is, like if I were to see this picture on an ad in a bus stop and it would say, let's cut world hunger or something like that, then it would make sense. But without that context, I wouldn't have grasped it. But you did add that context, so I can see it clearly. And having the noose over Africa and stuff where not all but most of that's going on is wonderfully effective. And then doing it in black and white is great as well.
Mm-hmm. Phil, what do you think?
I like it. I like the fact that you have I'm not sure if it's how it was lit or if it was after, in editing, how, the arm fades out of the shot. It's not really part of the picture. The hand's not the important thing. It's, as you were bringing up, it's the fact of, the actual kind of noose going around everything. You draw that further, you have, the last, string getting cut on the world. I want to bring it that much farther. So I like it. I think it's really nice. I do agree that it's good there's black and white, and I like that it's kind of isolated from everything else in the shot.
Yeah. Yeah, good isolation. That's a really good point.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I'm it's funny how you, Gabriel, you noticed how it's over Africa. I read it as it's over the Middle East. And he's cutting pretty much Iran, Iraq, right in that really tumultuous area. And so a lot can be read into where the noose is, where he's cutting it, how that is like a real hot spot, and that's where everything's going to snap. I mean, that's kind of how I interpret it. So as far as where the placement, I think was well thought out of where everything is.
Yeah.
I agree with you about the. I think it's trying to be a kind of a timeless feeling kind of photo, and the new nylon rope, and I get where you're going with how props could be a little different, but yeah, the lighting is great. I love the lighting, not too much reflection off the reflective part of the rope, and it's nice fade off of the edges, like almost the vignette kind of going off the edge. So yeah, very powerful image. I like both shots, actually.
Yeah.
The Y, I think, was an interesting choice as well because he's working with bokeh. He's creating, on the other photo that he submitted, he basically cut out a Y and put it into a 50mm lens and created that a bokeh effect, is how I'm interpreting he did this. Because I know his wife has done stuff like this before with bokeh and so on. So interesting technique. I still, for this photo, and I'm sorry for getting into this a second photo, but for that photo, I would really like to see a behind-the-scenes shot of how Mark did it.
Yes.
The why. I think that would be really beneficial for the entire community to find out the story behind how that was made. For example, Don Komarechka submitted a photo. Everybody take a shot. Don submitted a photo for the challenge, and you look at the picture, and you don't really think much of it. And a lot of what Don does is interesting because it makes you ask why. And a lot of the photos he makes because he asked the question why.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? This isn't an official submission, but a lot of his stuff, a lot of his photos always starts with that why question. Why are snowflakes looking like they do? Why does electroluminescent stuff shoot the way it does? Why can I do this and make this happen? And the story behind the photo is what's really interesting with Don's. So I would love to see that kind of story behind how Mark made his photo to get all the bokeh technique and all that down. So that's my take on.
Unlock your secrets to us, Mark.
Yes, unlock your magical wisdom and awesomeness.
So that we may replicate it.
Well, so we get educated from it. You know, it's all about the education, and if we can give somebody some inspiration and then show them how to do it, and they come out with a photo, as they say, you know, copying somebody is a form of flattery. So, all right. What's next here? Let's have a look at the next picture.
Question that would be...
While you're doing that, I'm going to go to the Q&A.
Mark.
Sheila says, thanks, guys. Great to see you got what I hoped for. Excellent that we got it, too. That's really cool. You did a very good job on your photo. Andrew says, great shot, Sheila. Very powerful. Robert says... in the photo from Mark Moore, he says he reads, liberate the world from being hostage. I think that's a great take on that as well. With the wine.
Yeah, that's really with the noose and the scissors where they are. It can be, you know, world hunger, but can also be, you know, with all the things going on in that part of the world.
Have a noose on it.
Yeah.
That's a great observation. Thanks, Robert. Very cool. And Joseph Leduc says, hello, partner, because Joe's one of the partners in the Loft Studio. Very cool. And Mark says it was a Nick Collection vignette. Or as some like to say, vignette. Nobody says that. Anyway. Okay.
The guy that owns the Italian place.
Maybe. Aluminium. Okay, so Mark says he can do on the behind the scenes. He says, Hallie and I learned a lot about how lenses, aperture, and relative spacing from foreground, background distances. I love it. Did you see that? My eyes rolled at the back of my head when I said that. It was great. Yes, you learn so much about how these things work when you experiment and you try different things. And Mark and Hallie are phenomenal at doing those things. So keep up the good work. Awesome. Very cool. Okay, what do we have next?
Do we want to do Jackson?
Sure.
Let's have a look at Jackson's photo. Now, this is something that it's a tough debate. This is an interesting picture. It's disturbing. And to be honest with you, it kind of makes me worry a little bit about Jackson. Because when I first saw it, and this is something actually, the comments on the photo were basically Lori said it's too dark, can't really see what it is. And somebody else, Steven, I believe, said he agrees with that. And I kind of didn't really know what it was either. And when something's not dark, it doesn't catch your eye, it doesn't draw you to look at it. So I kind of skimmed past the photo several times because it's not saying, hey, look at me, until I looked at it.
And it's actually literally saying, or something that looks like it could say, hey, look at me.
So,
or at some point could have said.
At some point could have. So essentially, when people asked what it was, Jackson's answer was, it's the decomposing remains of a child in a Cuban cemetery. Okay, so my comment was, okay, I like the dark, smack you in the face kind of photography, but I'm really not so sure about this. This is a little bit, I don't want to say edgy, but it's kind of pushing the boundaries. I hear that and I think, this is somebody's child. You know, you don't want to desecrate that.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, as a person that has a child,
which I don't.
Right. No, but I'm saying I would not take pictures. I'm not finishing even that sentence. But if they're photographable,
Mm-hmm.
then it's not. Basically, let's just go with you have no expectation to privacy in public, and if the bones, I mean, I doubt that he unearthed a grave in the middle of the night
Right.
to light this shot. So they were obviously somewhere where he didn't have to, take the picture that involved a shovel and discreet lighting. So
I would hope so, and then that's really the scary thing about the photo is you don't know that backstory.
right, and so when I see this, I automatically say, okay, it's a skull of some type. I don't know that it's necessarily human. I can recognize the vertebrae of the spine and stuff, but again, not necessarily human. And then finding out that it's a child has a whole other aspect to it
Right.
devastating also makes it more intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Phil?
I think it's interesting. I'll give you that. I'm not 100% if the vertebrae is the best place to have focused, since it's still technically a person. Maybe the eyes could have, or the head could be more in focus than everything else. I'm not sure. Unless
Now you're getting all
from behind
photographer.
something. My biggest thing, I think, is that it is a little dark. Just actual lighting-wise, it seems a little on the dark side. Like, I like to play with the shadows. I think that fits in with what the picture is actually of. But I think it might be a tiny bit dark.
Mm-hmm.
The flashlight, maybe a second flashlight could have been good as. No kidding. I do think. I mean, I understand. Actually, I don't because I'm a kid. But I can get how the idea of shooting, a decomposing child could be, a little unnerving, a little different. But the difference between this and archaeology is like 2,000 years. So it's not.
Yeah. And who knows who says this isn't?
It hasn't been there for a long, long time.
Right.
Right.
The mineral deposits on the head are interesting.
Yes.
They almost look like big snowflakes.
I was thinking that too. Speaking of snowflakes, Don, who is watching right now, he says he's got the right filter on order to take a second attempt at that image concept with greater success. But scientific narrowband filters are expensive. I can only imagine. You'll be playing around with fluorescing water droplet collision photography. Why? Because it's fun.
Yeah, why not? That could be awesome. Also, I like the science. I'm not sure how to take that.
Yeah. Scientific.
Yes.
All right, cool, Gabe. Let's have a look at the next shot.
Let's do it.
By the way, I was having a conversation with my mother the other day, and she absolutely loves Gabriel. She thinks he just creates magic moments. So I just thought I would tell the world my mom loves Gabe. She likes him more than she likes me, I think.
Your mother is a wise and magnificent woman.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Okay, next photo.
Are we doing Christine?
I think we're down.
Here, Mark.
Yeah.
Yes, can't forget this one. So, I love Mark's humor in all the photos he submits. He always has something about a picture that you just think, what? Like him lying on the beach in the middle of winter. Just fun stuff. Although this one, it touches a nerve for a lot of people. On his knees praying to the phone gods. Please, no, my phone! I just thought it was funny that he posted that no phones were harmed in the making of this photo.
It's like that fun moment when you drop your phone and it lands face down and you play the game of, is it going to be safe?
Exactly. What do you think about this shot here, Gabe?
As somebody who, it is rare that I go through life where I'm always peeking over people's shoulders, not to see what they're doing on their phone, but I'm interested in what people use what phones in what areas, right? Because, being a big tech guy and then being an Android supporter and stuff, I'm, okay, are people using iPhones here? Are they using Androids here and stuff? And it's rare for me to ever see an iPhone that doesn't have a cracked screen. And I'm one of those. Knock
Wait,
on
there you go.
wood.
There you go. Phil has one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, you've
Yeah.
had it for what, 3 days?
Oh, no.
I've got the iPhone 4, the original iPhone 4, and I still use it on a daily basis without a chip on it.
Oh, there you go. All right.
Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
As being I've been using smartphones since they first came out, and I have, knock on wood, never broken a screen. So I can only imagine what it's like. I've had it happen to lots of customers. So I have yet to know that excruciating pain of going through that. Although he is running a speed test on the screen underneath, so something, it says to me that phone is still functional. So, one up for Android. But I also love his T-shirt.
Yeah, right, eh? Okay.
But it's well processed. Like, you can tell there's some clarity or some dehazing or something like that added. It's added a bit of grunge, a bit of like contrast to it. The expression is fantastic. The background is good. It's well lit and well executed.
It's funny, actually. I zoomed in on the image, and I'm going to do a screen share here. If you look closely, you can see it's an overlay. It's not actually a broken phone. It's a screen that it looks like. So I don't think it's actually a broken phone at all, which is why he said, yeah, I'm pretty sure. If you look, it stops right at the line.
It could be like a lock screen or something on the phone.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what I'm going to go with, but I think that's why he could say no phones were harmed in the making of this.
Oh, I thought he just meant that, like, it had been broken before.
Well, maybe. If Mark's watching, I'm sure he could tell us. But nonetheless, I agree with you totally about the processing. In fact, in my notes, I said the processing lends to the mood with the clarity or dehaze making it pop nice. So it's like exactly what you said. It's pretty cool. Very cool. And Christine says that she loves this photo, and I do too. All right. It's just a downloaded picture off of Google, Nick says. That's what I think. Something like that.
All right.
Okay, cool. Let's see what's next.
What's next? Where are we? Christine?
Yes.
Okay, so let's get to comment with this. Hoobity-boo. My submission for a Y photo challenge. My brain cannot comprehend this photo, and I hope it confuses you all the same.
Why do you hope such things? You're hoping for me to get... I'm so confused. You lost me at brackets.
Well,
Yeah, I think that...
Exponents, multiplication, division. There's some pi in there.
Yeah,
see,
it's like
doesn't
when
look like
you're
it's apple
back in
pie,
those
so-
letters, I'm out.
Yeah.
COS is the square root of 2 equals purple? I don't know. There's stuff in there.
It's funny. Nick says, please, no math. So Christine says, I got the memo late on the details of the challenge, i.e. why photography. Would have been a very different submission. Yeah, that's valid. That's completely valid. And I agree with that. And it's all about interpretation, right? And how you interpret it. And that's why sometimes when we give a challenge, we just give one word. And we want to see how broad people can make their interpretations. So Gabriel's interpretation was, why photography? Where my interpretation could be, just what is the meaning of life? Like, why live? And bigger pictures. Yeah, who knows, right? Oh, she says the title of this photo should be Matt Damon. Is coming up with the proper answer. Yeah, I agree. That's funny. The Matt Damon photo. So, okay, as far as the photo goes...
How you like them apples?
Yeah. Perfect. I think it's really interesting what happened here. Now, I'd like to know if this was an effect that gave such shallow depth of field, because if you look at the photo details, let's see, what do we have here? It was shot at f2.5
Okay.
and a 50 millimeter lens, so you're pretty close to it. to get that focus.
Mhm.
It could have been just shallow depth of field, but at 2.5, I don't know. It's pretty shallow. Pretty
But it
shallow.
also looks like it's handwritten, so this is probably on like maybe a whiteboard of some sort.
Taken at a different angle.
Yeah, like
nothing.
shooting across the whiteboard almost on an angle.
Yeah. It's an interesting perspective, and I think it's nice where you have your focus, and the vignette on the photo really does draw you to the center of the shot. And you can see it's almost like stretched out at the top, which is why I thought maybe some more effects were added.
I came up with a new theory, and this has nothing to do with photography, but when you there are so many deeper levels to science that people aren't even aware of. Like when you say, oh, this is this because of this, there's, like when scientists say this is this because of this, there's 75,000 deeper layers that they went to university for 15 years to learn. So I think that if anybody is going to say, I don't believe in global warming, they should have to be able to come up with the answer for this question first. Because once they can understand this question, they'll have enough scientific understanding to be able to understand what they're not agreeing with, and then they'll probably agree with it.
I'm not even qualified to understand what you're saying.
I'm just saying that there's so many other levels to science that people just don't understand, that before you start disagreeing with scientists, you should be able to understand their language and see how deep they have to think to come up with the answers that they come up with.
Okay.
I'd be
Phil?
curious to know if it's it's too organized, I'd say, to be fully random. So I'm kind of curious to know what the equations are from. 'Cause I don't know if it'd be one. It looks like it's probably several put together. But I'm curious to know what they're from, or if it is just completely random. Because it seems too organized to be random, because there's not a lot of repetition.
Or if it's several questions, or if
Put
it's...
together, yeah.
Yeah.
But you're...
And sorry, Andrew just made a comment. When I said I didn't know what you were saying, Andrew says, it sounds to me like whiskey speak.
Well, you're right about the science side of things, because like everything in science has another layer down. It's kind of like Inception. It just continues to go down until nothing makes sense.
Yeah, it's like... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's like when you're in school, it's like, well, stuff is like, you have dirt, and then from dirt you have, like molecules. Molecules have atoms, and then atoms you have, electrons and neutrons and protons, and then inside of that you have, gluons and the weak nuclear force and the strong nuclear force, and I've done that out of order in some way, but it goes down continuously.
Right, and it's like when people are like, well, how can scientists know what's at the center of the Earth? Well, because we have hundreds and hundreds of years of samples and experiments and stuff. It's not like some scientist just once sat there and said, oh, it's a golden unicorn spinning really fast. No, it's a lot. And then when Sarah Palin's sitting there going, oh, we got scientists working on fruit flies. What good is that? There's actually a lot of good to it, and there's a lot of science behind that. So how about you learn how to, do something like this? Because once you have figured out how to do the science to figure out an equation like this, and you'll have a little bit more respect for the scientific method.
Okay, I don't know if you've noticed,
but
I've just highlighted something on my screen, and Christine, you have succeeded. She says, my submission for the Y Photo Challenge. My brain cannot comprehend this photo, and I hope it confuses you all the same. Well, the conversation certainly has confused me. And
Speaking of global warming, the next picture fits in perfectly.
Success.
There you go.
Okay. So let's let's just go to the Q&A for a quick second. She says it was a whiteboard shot from above, and then she rotated it, which is something that Don would probably appreciate, because Don always says, in the world of macro photography, there is no right side up.
Yeah. So
by doing what you've done, it's a whiteboard shot from above, and then you rotated it to give us this perspective. Excellent job. Very excellent job. And Don says that you can prank your friends relating to the screensaver thing. You can actually download the thing, and I'm going to leave that up there for people to copy and paste if they want to see. He says he has fun with these as well. Tony says, do you have a problem with golden unicorns?
Absolutely not.
Golden unicorns? I just feel like they're the ones that are going to have to pay for the wall.
They will pay for the wall, and I'll tell you why, because we got proof.
Okay, hang on a second, guys. We got a real question here.
We're going too
Christine
political.
says the answer is 42, and bonus points if you can name the reference. Come on, make it difficult.
Oh, that's
the meaning of life and everything in it. So I mean,
I don't know where the reference is from, but I do have my towel.
There you go.
Yes, we all have our white towel. Right there. There's mine, right there.
Just
all right.
Don't panic.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, on to the next photo. For the photo challenge Y, Dennis submitted a photo challenge for what? So I'm a little confused, and certainly not looking to discourage Dennis from submitting photos for our challenge. But how do you critique a photo for the photo challenge what when the challenge is actually Y?
I would say because this ice storm came after a week of 20-degree weather, and most of us saying, yeah, I think last week was winter's final blow. So this is probably not just what, but WTF.
Yes, there you go.
And with all the damage that was done to my trees and my sump pump and my crawl space, it was more like, oh, why?
Well done, Gabriel. Well done. Very funny, yeah. And you're right. We've had ridiculous weather this year. It was the winter that never started and then never ended.
Well, it falls back to the whole thing on climate change.
Okay.
Which we'll save for the next one.
If you want to discredit climate change, you have to look at this picture and tell me why.
Yeah, right. With a scientific equation.
I like this though because it has the light coming from behind it, so it's the ice itself is bright. It has the light pulling through. I think it's interesting.
It's just so crazy, some of the things that we see on our coastlines too, eh? The way that things grow, the ice grows. This is something that Don could probably talk about for hours, how it just accumulates and so on. But yeah, very interesting.
And it's nice that there's still lots of ice on the branches, but all the water is already thawed.
True. Yeah.
So it adds a nice sort of, I don't know, juxtaposition is the right word, but nice contrast.
Yeah, the ice wasn't there. It looked like you could jump in and go for a swim. It looks sunny and warm.
Yeah, it's true.
The giant chunk of ice in the middle.
However, there is ice there, which makes me not want to go in for a swim. So let's move along. As much. What's next?
All right. This is my first submission to the weekly photo challenge. Why? So why did I choose to do photography? I love to share beautiful places with people. There's always something new to learn and see. Now, was this taken in the right?
March 31st.
There you go.
Oh,
all right.
Yours says April 12th?
Oh, hold it. April 12th, 2016.
Oh, okay.
That could be when it was uploaded.
Either way, it's okay.
Yeah. I think it's a beautiful picture. I like the bright, super vibrant blue sky. You got the canyon floor that leads you kind of from one side of the picture across to the other. Yeah.
Just going to sidetrack for a quick sec. Don says we have to stop mentioning his name. He's running out of whiskey. For those of you who don't know, every time we say Don's name, you're supposed to take a shot. So that's
twice, and my cup's empty, so I have to go get more.
Yeah, it's the Daytripper Photo drinking game. Okay. Nick, don't play the game. Just saying. Emil, be good.
It's apple juice.
Apple juice. You can yes. Grape juice. All right, so yes, back to the photo here. Taylor, thank you so much for submitting. I know this is your first submission. Awesome. Well done. I really like the shot. Compositionally, it's a little bit, there's no focal point, no center focal point, you know what I'm saying? But its exposure is excellent. Element. That's what I'm trying to say. The exposure is excellent. It looks to me like you may have used a polarized filter because the sky is very rich and blue. Great color, nothing overexposed. The clouds generally you'll find some overexposure. I don't see any of that. So as far as that goes, I think you did a really nice job. What do you think, Phil?
I agree.
Excellent.
All right.
Short wow.
Comments in there at the beginning, so I just don't want to.
Okay, cool.
Be repeating everything, agreeing with you guys again.
Okay, cool. Gabe, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I would say for this one, just because recently I've been going through all my Vegas pictures and edited them we're doing sort of like a Vegas people reunite on Saturday. So I'm trying to get all the pictures done for them. So I've been doing a lot of editing in my Grand Canyon photos. So I would try with this. If you're working on it in Photoshop, in Lightroom, just try it out and see if you like it. Take the dehaze filter, and even though there's no haze here, crank it up to about 30, and then also bring your shadows up a little bit, and it's going to just add a little bit more punch to those the rocks, and it's going to help bring the red out a little bit more. I'll tell you, one of my favorite toys has become that dehaze feature, and it works in so many situations. It's been a lot of fun to play with, but especially for the Grand Canyon pictures.
It's a great tip, and I think the dehaze tool has turned into what we had all hoped Clarity would do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Without adding the chunkiness and without adding that kind of muddy look.
Yeah.
Very cool.
No, but I love the actual photo. You're right. If that was a raw image or if you used a filter or something, you got great color in the sky as well as nice color and clarity in the hills. I would have just maybe tried to look for a little bit more of a foreground element as well.
Agreed. Okay, let's see what's next.
All right. Let's see.
Our partner's photos there. So, just Joe isn't technically submitting this for the photo challenge. However, if you look closely, I don't think you ever stop seeing things.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much going on. And what's interesting is we know a little bit of the backstory here, how he had a camera in his freezer.
Right.
Solid block of ice. So the only thing not photoshopped, I think, is the camera in the block of ice. I don't know. There's turkeys. There's owls and all over the place. There's little herons coming off the tree branch. There's woodpeckers poking their heads out.
Bird on the frozen camera.
Bird on the camera. Yeah, it's a little chickadee. I don't even know. The snow may even be fake too. I don't know.
Yeah.
Waldo in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Where's Waldo? Why? Why is Waldo in the photo? Yeah, excellent stuff. Very funny.
Yeah, it's a fun photo. I like that.
All right, let's check it out for the next one. Sorry.
My offer for why. I was in Washington at Arlington Cemetery, and that question came up a lot. So many at the Garden of Stone. And this is one of those things that's can be seen so many ways, and it's so, they say patriotism is the last bastion of the scoundrel, and I saw a picture of this the other day, and it was titled "The Price of Freedom," and it's like, but why? Why does that have to be the price of freedom? Right?
Because
it's
the
like,
world dictates it.
Well, why?
Because people are mean.
Yeah, it's just I mean, if you want to ask a why photo, wow, like, does this not incorporate some of the biggest questions?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely true, eh?
Yeah.
I see. One thing I think about this, and it kind of relates to the other one. Here's a poignant photo without the decomp. There was the photo of the skeleton earlier about decomposition, and it was I think intended to be quite poignant and tell a story. Where here we're dealing with the same concept without that dramatic dead body.
Sort of. I agree that they're both of the same thing in essence. However, I think they both tell a very, very different story.
Mm-hmm.
And one could be maybe of natural causes, while the other could be of a cause that might not have needed to happen.
Yeah, and
so they both raise the same question, but tell this, as you were saying, a similar story, but just very differently.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. What do you think about composition on this? I was kind of tossing around, keep the foreground or crop the bottom off. Like, what do you think of that?
I like the foreground because it shows you exactly what you're looking at. The problem with so many actual stones is, and it's going to sound terrible, But as soon as you get something in a high enough number, they kind of lose what it is, and it loses its significance. But seeing the ones up close, I think, draw you through and draw you, showing that everything is, the same thing.
Mm-hmm. And as you get closer, they're bigger.
Yeah.
And they have more importance. They have more meaning in the photo.
And now I will say I'm not a giant fan of the road going through the middle, but I think you need that foreground for the background to work. If it was just the background, I think it would just be a hill, and I don't think it would have the same effect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's tough. Hang on a second. Photography, Emil. Emil's wondering why his photos aren't showing up, and I am seeing them
on the main page.
He just put them in the photography, not into the weekly photo challenge. So I'll just move those for you, Emil. And hang on one second here. Weekly photo challenge.
You're so
and
helpful.
Weekly photo challenge. There we go. So now they will be in the weekly photo challenge page.
Perfect.
Theoretically, yes, they are. Very cool. All right, I don't have any notes on Emil's, but we'll get to them. We'll get to them.
We'll figure it as we go.
Yes. So Emil, you've done good, kid. You've done good. It's up there. Nick, you didn't post them in the weekly photo challenge. Nick's helping them out. Nick, these are both guys that were in the McMichael Art Gallery photo class that I did. Both excellent young men. Very cool. Okay, so back to this photo. Gabrielle, you weren't here for the conversation, so why don't you tell us what you think of this shot?
I'm of two minds. Like, okay, so if I were to take a photo like this in this area, I would have just sort of concentrated on this area and tried to like make a pattern or a line or something like that. Now that photo has also been taken 1,000 times, right? So, I would have shown the symmetry of all the stones lining up, and it shows military precision, and and then you get the idea for how many there are. But it's rare that I've seen a photo that actually shows how many there are. And I know this is just a small section of them, but you don't usually see this many in one photo. And then you see, how many trees there are, and the trees are getting in the way, and it's ruining some of the symmetry and stuff like that. But that also kind of makes it a more powerful image. It's like, there's even more here than you can see. Mm-hmm. So I like that it's a different perspective on this area. I mean, especially around Remembrance Day or Memorial Day, you see tons of pictures from this cemetery, and this is I've never seen one like this.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually like one stone with a flag or something like that, and all the others are back off in the distance, and you never really get a true feeling for the full scope of it.
That's a good point too. I just think it's very busy, and I like the general composition you were talking about at the start, where if you were to look at them in the center, you can use the angle of the stones to do a diagonal, which is very powerful. I mean, you can play with lines, you can play with patterns, you can use those rules of photography to create a different image. But again, there could be many different photos here. I remember a while back I took a photo, I shared it with our friend Martin Ingalls, and the first thing he says is, you've got 3 photos here.
Right.
This is one of those shots that you could really pick apart certain areas in the shot and find multiple images within the one frame. But ultimately, altogether, it's a different photo too, and that's how Heather interpreted it, and there's nothing wrong with that.
And it's good to see that different perspective.
Absolutely.
Something you don't normally see.
So thank you, Heather, for submitting it. Excellent stuff.
Yeah.
And very tragic and sad, too. All right. Where are we at? Nick or Rosemary?
Go here. Now, is there accompanying text to that? My late submission for the photo challenge. Why did this guy have to be so nice when I did not have my good camera? This is why I love photography.
That's always how it works. You don't bring it with you, and you see something awesome, and you got to make do with kind of what you have.
What's funny, though, is I don't know if the camera would have made a difference in the shot, because a camera has a very finite number or a variance of exposure it can capture. So many stops, so to speak.
Right.
And if you're going to expose the sky so that it's not overexposed and too bright, you're going to end up making the buildings darker.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just photography. I mean, that's just the way a camera's going to balance light. So I don't know if it's the camera itself. I've taken a lot of really cool skyscapes, that's what they're called, cloudscapes, with my cell phone. In fact, I prefer it because I can hold my sunglasses over the lens and use the polarization of my sunglasses to make the colors different and make the textures different. So there's so many cool things you can do with iPhoneography that I think you're tapping into it here, Nick. I think it's really neat. And the only other thing you could do would be to create an HDR image, a high dynamic range photo, where you touch the buildings and make the sky too bright. You touch the sky and make the buildings too dark, and then do a third photo and blend those together in an editing software, or even the in-camera HDR that you might have in your cell phone to bump up both the bright sky and the dark buildings. Anything else to add?
This was taken with an iPhone 6 at f2.2 at ISO 32. I'm sure that's like a digital equivalent.
You'd have to do the math on the sensor size to get the...
Yeah, but it's probably like ISO, 200 or something. It's going to be pretty low. It's a fair size image, 8 megapixel. The settings on an actual DSLR wouldn't be that far off. It's just that you would probably be shooting with RAW, so you'd have a little bit more leeway. But if you're if you have an Android phone, download the Lightroom mobile app, and that lets you take RAW photos right from there.
Very cool.
So I think you would get a pretty similar photo on a DSLR, like Brian was saying.
Anything to add there, Phil?
No, I think we pretty much covered everything. The only thing I might do is crop it, get rid of some of the foreground, and concentrate a bit more on the sky.
Yeah, I think if the buildings were brighter, it would be a little more distracting because it looks like there's like a bouncy thing. What do you call that? Trampoline, and there's like a swing set and stuff like that, which could be distracting. So I agree. Yeah, maybe crop the bottom a little bit. As Nick says, good tips. I'm gonna sum that up in one word, Nick. Knowledge. That's all I gotta say. He knows what I'm talking about. Emil knows what I'm talking about. Okay, next shot. Rosemary, I love this. Birds at a bird feeder, it's tough to shoot interestingly because you have a bird feeder in the shot, and there's suet in a holder, and it's obvious that the birds were supposed to go there, but there's a different story going on here. The interaction between the two birds, you don't know if he's feeding the other one or he's ready to kick the crap out of him. It's a really interesting dynamic going on between the two birds, which I appreciate. I think it's really great. The talon out on the one in the front, and the wings all ready to go in the back one. You just don't know what's going to happen. It's an interesting photo. Exposure's great.
Mm-hmm.
So
and the birds are nice and sharp, which is good, especially because the tiny birds can move ridiculously fast.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good that they're all nice and crisp.
Yeah, she had a nice fast shutter speed, 1/3200th of a second. So you're going to get that really nice sharp action. You shouldn't have to raise the ISO that much. It's at 800 ISO. Of course, film users are yelling at me right now. 800 ISO, that's too high. But
back in the day.
Back in the day. Yeah, as Lori says in her comment, great timing, Rosemary. Absolutely. Gabe, anything to add there?
No, not really. I mean, it looks nice and sharp, and the composition is okay. I like the snow on top of the birdhouse and stuff. And I mean, with a picture like that, because it's not like it's still life, and you're setting studio lights around to get the right lighting and stuff like that. It's a moment in time capture.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so there's less critiques that you can do about lighting and positioning, and more just cool capture. That's great.
Very neat. Thank you, Rosemary, for submitting. Good stuff. We've got 2 more photos to go through, and the show's pretty much out of time. So let's check out Emil's.
Which one do you want to do?
Well, I'm gonna talk about them both very quickly. The first one. The question he asks is not sure why the photo appears a bit blurry on Google. I don't know if it's because it's on Google. I think because you're shooting at 1.8 with a 35mm lens. Looks like you're pretty close. So Emil, if you can remember in our conversation that we did through our lessons, there's 3 ways to create shallow depth of field: proximity, aperture, and focal length. The focal length is fixed, it's 35 mil, but your aperture is very open and you're very close, so the depth of field is extremely shallow. So it looks like you actually have focus on the very front of it, but as you get back, it blurs off very quickly, so the majority of the photo is soft, where just the very, very front has sharpness to it. So I think that may be more what you're seeing. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah, because that cable down there looks sharp. That area right there looks sharp.
Right.
That pole looks pretty sharp, but I'd say that his focus is more likely on that cable there.
Right. So that leads me to start talking about focus points. When you're taking a picture like this, make sure your point that you're choosing for focus is exactly where you want it in the frame. Usually 1/3 in for achieving different focus point, but there's a lot of different things. Just reading the comments. Okay, so he says, yep, agree. Very cool. Mark, greetings to you. You just got home from puppy class. Mark is training himself with other dogs, apparently. Interesting. No, it's his dog Freya. Beautiful dog. So yeah, anyway, that's my take on this shot for you and Emil. So if we can check out the other one just quickly, is the why was an interesting story here. He says, if my last photo did not upload, why not shoot with a phone? So another really great cloudscape.
That's a nice moody shot. Yeah.
Colors are rich. Nice orangey reds at the bottom.
Blues and wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so Emil says, but it did lose some of its crispness and sharpness after upload. Gabe, you are the Google guy. Do you have any answers for maybe why it might just look softer because of Google?
No, I mean, one thing with Google Plus in the past is one of the reasons why photographers took to it so much is that it handles photo uploads so much better than Facebook. Facebook is where everybody is, but when sometimes it's like I weep when I see what their compression algorithm does to my photos. Mm-hmm. It's like, hey guys, look at this photo. No, it's really so much better than this.
The wrestling stuff that I post, I mean, yeah, it's a bit grainy because it's shooting at higher ISO, but when my computer it looks fine, and you load it to Facebook, and it's just like crap splattered all over the screen.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I don't know if Google has changed their algorithm. I mean, the other one, it looked fine to me, maybe more that looked sharper. Maybe that's what we're seeing. But traditionally, Google Plus has been a fantastic and good place to upload photos for them to be shown in good quality. But maybe that's changing. I'm not sure.
Well, the other thing too is depending where we're looking at it. Like I know when we are doing a screen share, what you're seeing on your screen that's being shared, so what's actually coming through on the thing, is going to be compressed and sent through the internet and then show up on your screen. So that's going to be less quality than what we're actually going to be seeing when you're looking at the picture on your own screen. So if you're looking at what you're sharing, so if I'm looking at what you're sharing, it doesn't look like what the actual picture on my screen looks like, mainly because it's being squished down and then sent to me from you, and it's just losing some of that quality because you can't show that sharp of an image through a live stream.
What I would say is try to, if you're using Lightroom or some other photo editing software, try to export it, say 4,000 by, whatever it would be, 4,000 by 2,000 or something like that, as a JPEG, high quality JPEG, and upload it and see if you get a little bit better resolution, a little bit better quality than doing like a 2,000 by 1,300 TIFF, and just play with that and see if you get a better result.
Very cool. All right. And he says he totally agrees as well. That's why he limits his uploads on Facebook.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, a lot of times, that is where everybody is. There's billions of people, 1 billion active users on Facebook every month. But a lot of times, like if you really have a picture that you're proud of and you want to share it on Facebook, put it up to 500px, because that's really the site that's going to treat it the best, and then link to it from Facebook from there.
That's a good point too. And he says, "Yep, does compress a bit, but not as bad as Facebook. We'll try and do a JPEG."
Yeah,
Mark.
try it out. Yeah.
Mark says we talked about him being back from puppy school. He says he sits on command now. It's awesome.
He does more than my dogs do.
Oh, jeez. And Andrew made a comment about Rosemary's photo. He says that he loves the soft bokeh background behind the bird feeder. He says that's great.
Yeah.
Very cool. And you're welcome, Emil, for the input. Thank you for submitting photos for our challenge. And thank everybody.
Remember, if you agree with our constructive criticism, you are right. If you disagree, you are right.
Exactly. All right, G, you can stop the screen share and we can see your beautiful face again. Unless you just don't want to.
No, I'm just like, it would be perfect if I had a Halloween mask right here.
I don't need one. I just look close on the camera. It's the same effect. Okay. So that's pretty much it. We've gone through our photo. We've had a great review, and thank you everybody for being so interactive with the conversation. It was excellent. I love doing the show now when people are so involved. I mean, when we first started doing the show, we had to write our own emails. So now, now people are.
We have
a look, a question.
Nadeem from Vaughn says, yeah. It was a great time.
An AM talk show now.
I know, right? So anyway, thank you everybody for sticking with us through the show. You guys are amazing. And Nick says is lit. The Nick thing that he says, lit.
Kids these days.
Shenanigans.
So no, in Halfland.
Okay, so we have gone through all the photos. We've chosen our top 3. Do you guys concur with our choices so far?
I believe so. Mind you, you and I had a lengthy discussion before.
Yeah, we did. Gabe wasn't in the conversation at that
I got
point.
back from my customers about 2 seconds before the show started, so I will submit my opinion to the professionals.
Oh, okay, sure. I've just shared the notes with you so you can see our choices. There, if you want to actually see.
Yeah, no, I'm not looking.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay, so we've picked the winners, and the winner for 3rd place today. Actually, let's go with the honorable mention first. What do you think? Honorable mention first. So the honorable mention tonight goes to Christine Small. And are you doing the screen share?
Yeah, I shut that whole thing down. So
that was all
for hurting our brains with math.
Hurting our brains with math. That's right. Christine Small's photo. And for 3rd place tonight. Is somebody going to do a screen share?
I'm working on it.
I'm working on it. I'm getting there.
Am I screen sharing? Can
you
see
are screen sharing.
It's sharing?
Yeah. Gabe's got it. It's all right. Okay, Phil's got it. You both have it.
We'll both
Random.
Who picks the first one?
Random.
I'm showing the last one. Yay!
There's the last one. Congratulations to Christine for that shot.
Welcome to live TV.
Yeah, I know, right? And now, for 3rd place, I'm really making people feel sick, goes to Mark Moore for his photo that he submitted for our photo challenge that we talked about. There we go. Why not? Mark gains 6 points for the photo challenge tonight because tonight is double points. So good job for you, Mark. Came in 3rd place. That pretty much answers the question to who won first overall, but nonetheless, great job and thank you for submitting. 2nd place tonight goes to Mr. Mark Flinders for his cracked cell phone of death. Okay, so Mark gets himself 8 points towards the final quarterly final challenge competition winner thing that we do. And for 1st place tonight, the winner is Sheila's photo. Congratulations, Sheila. You did a great job tonight. Thank you so much.
This one. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
There you go. This is the winner. Sorry?
Now, what people don't know is that whoever ends up with the most amount of points gets a free ticket to take place in the Tough Mudder competition with me in September.
Oh, an added bonus.
I'm just trying to find that.
All right, so great work to everybody tonight. Congratulations to everybody. Well done. And so we've added up all the points. We've tallied up all the points for the first quarterly challenge Daytripper Photo contest ever, which is super cool. First place, as I've said many times already, wins the $350 Daytripper Photo gift certificate toward any single day trip that you'd like to come on in the next foreseeable future. And, of course, a lens pen, because they're awesome. Check out the lens pens, guys. If you don't have one already, seriously, I've lost all hope for you. Just throw your camera down. Don't ever touch it again.
Wow.
No? A little extreme. Okay. So, for the overall third place winner of the quarterly photo challenge with a total of 14 points, the winner of third place overall and an amazing lens pen with the cloth. This goes to our good buddy, Mark Flinders. Well done, Mark. Congratulations. You guys are awesome, submitting every week and being involved, so thank you all so much for that. Second place, with a rallying 16 points, and the lens pen bundle. So you're going to get the lens pen kit where you get the cloth, you get the 3 pens, including the little micro cloth to clean your viewfinder or point and shoot cameras or shove it up your nose. Don't do that. That's weird. And the lens pen peeps. I'm just weird like that. And then the lens pen. I don't keep asking me what, because I'll keep on stopping talking and talk to you. Lens pen peeps is what you're going to get as well. All right, seriously, if you don't know what the lens pen peeps are, they're for cleaning your eyeglasses, and they are the best cleaner. My mother-in-law cannot stop talking about these things. She loves them. She doesn't care about photography. Well, she likes pictures, but she doesn't take pictures. It's not about her camera stuff, but she loves the lens pen peeps. Seriously, if you don't have them already as well, lens pen peeps are so cool. The winner of that prize goes to Sheila Burgess. So, congratulations, Sheila. And first place overall. Yeah. Too much whiskey, and I haven't even had any. Okay. First place of the ultimate prize pack, where you're going to get a lens pen, you're going to get a $350 gift certificate, and you can come on whatever session you want, except for the masterclass sessions. I just have to stipulate, because those are run by a separate photographer that I help, not Daytripper. Anyway, that prize goes to Mark Moore. Congratulations. You got a $350 gift card. And the lens pen as well. So thank you all. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Sheila. Thank you, Mark, as well. And everybody else who contributed to the photo contest this past 3-4 months now that we've done this. The next time that we will announce a winner for the quarterly challenge is going to be, don't have my calendar. I'll have to post that down the road. It's
3 months from now?
3 or 4 months from now, yes. Thank you. Gabriel, that's why you're so smart. But that's not why you're so smart, but it certainly shows. Okay, moving along. It's way too late. We're all getting tired. Awkward pause. And that's about it for tonight. Okay, so we've got some quick stuff to talk about here in the Q&A. Nick says, congratulations. I think that's how you pronounce that. Sheila says, Mark Moore for the win. Yes, and you did well too, Sheila. Mark Moore says, thanks, you're welcome. Christine, great job, everyone. I agree. And Emil says, great show. Thanks again for the feedback. You're very welcome.
Yeah.
Love the cheering. Thanks so much. Yeah, the cheering's fun. Congrats. I like that too. Christine says she's honored. Well, you should be. You guys all do very, very well. Mark, thank you so much. Mark Moore for the win. Mark says that. Okay, awesome. Great stuff. No phones were harmed in the creation of my image. Yes, I know you said that in your thing. Mark, come on, don't repeat yourself.
Smackdown.
Mark will kick my butt next time he sees me.
Is there another photo challenge?
Yes, there is another photo challenge, and I have picked it. So
okay.
The next photo challenge for the next 3 weeks because remember, next week is going to be a Tips and Techniques show. And by the way, that Tips and Techniques show is going to be a blast. We have a special guest on, Rob Como. We're talking about video. It's the second part of our Sound and Vision episode, so this is the Vision episode. If you don't know Rob Como, please, guys, check this guy out. He did the funniest video to sell his car.
Oh, yeah.
This is the reason I asked Rob to be on the show is because he's creative and he uses regular DSLR, regular video equipment, and just has great ideas, and that's what it's all about. So he's going to give us his interpretation of how you should get into video, and it's about the story and talking about the equipment a little bit and so on. So next week's Vision episode is going to be a lot of fun with Rob Como. Look him up on YouTube, and should be a lot of fun. And then after that we have... Okay, so that's the end of the show tonight, guys. Thank you all so much for being on, and good night. No, I'm just joking.
What's the photo challenge?
No, I know. Photo challenge. Okay, the photo challenge coming up for the next 3 weeks is going to be fantasy.
Interesting.
So create a fantasy. Think about what you interpret the word fantasy as. We are going to... Oh, no, Gabe, stop thinking. That is a devilish grin. All right, so Gabriel's not submitting a photo for the photo challenge this week.
I'm actually blushing.
But seriously, guys, work outside the box. Think of something interesting. Remember, we do have youth in our community, so keep it PG, please. Other than that, I'd love to see what everybody has to submit. It's going to be a lot of fun. Going to be some interesting ideas that people have. And to talk about things we usually try and have on our banter show or something to help people with the theme that we're giving. So on the 27th, that's going to be our next banter show. We're doing it live from the Loft Studio. We're going to have myself, we're going to have Navi, we're going to have Gabriel. Phil, if you want to come and be at the studio too, that'd be very cool. We could all do it live from the studio. What was that?
I said yes to the invite.
Oh yeah, okay, perfect. So we're all going to do it live from the Loft Studio. It's going to be a lot of fun. Who knows? Maybe we'll have a model set up in a fantasy environment, and we'll do some photos during the show, and that could be a lot of fun too. So we'll see how it goes. It'll be the first time we do it from the studio, so we might have some technical difficulties. It does tend to happen, and yeah, should be fun. What do you think, Gabe?
Sounds great. I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent.
I almost did the show from there tonight because I was so late getting back from my final customers that I'm like, if I just go into the studio, then I could just do it from there. But decided to push on, make it all the way home.
Well, it's okay, and you didn't even need the grilled cheese white balance.
Exactly. It's working out well.
It is. Okay, so I have a quote that I put in here, but Phil says he has a quote. So why don't we go with Phil's quote?
Well, I have one of two. And so, do we want a quote by Carl Sagan or by Douglas Adams?
Oh, man, it's like Sophie's choice.
All right, Gabe, you pick. Because I had Alfred Stieglitz, which is another very difficult choice.
They're both so brilliant. Let's go with Carl Sagan.
Okay. Somewhere, something incredible is waiting to be known.
Awesome. That guy was amazing.
Deep.
Experiment.
That's it.
Okay.
Fantasize.
There you go.
There you go.
Keep it PG though. So
Yes.
bring it
exactly.
down a notch.
Fantasize.
Don't go back a couple weeks to the Donald Trump.
Oh.
Oh, why did I ever show that? I think Nick is still.
Card. It's okay.
I think Nick is still having like bad dreams about that post.
Cut the show. Cut the show.
All right, that's it. We're out. Good night, everybody. See y'all next week.
Thanks, everybody, and thank you very much for your submissions.
Yes.
Keep up the good work. We'll see y'all next week. Take care.